A MAGA couple in DC just pulled a Carolyn Bryant this week and got an innocent man arrested because they lied, claiming that this man threatened their lives.
So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past, and now they're gonna put him under arrest. He said, "I'm gonna murder your wife and baby."
Yeah, he literally said that. This guy right there, when we're walking past.
So we're gonna press charges.
He said he wanted to kill our white baby. How sick can people be? This is disgusting. I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this. Thank God we reported it to the police and they're dealing with the guy.
A white MAGA couple got an innocent black man arrested in DC, and they claim that this man threatened to unalive the baby and the wife of the white man. Yeah, so let's get to the rest of the video.
So what's the actual story, Joel, Tenny, and Sarah Elizabeth? Was it white baby or wife and baby? Because that kind of distinction does not go unnoticed. And you know what else doesn't go unnoticed? A third different story than the one in the actual video when the incident had just occurred, when it was very fresh in you and your wife's mind. Your recap of words was very different than your wife's in the video. And in your caption on Instagram, it's also very different on what it is that the man said to you or that you claim he said to you. The fact that you mentioned that you weren't allowed to carry your 2A lets me know that you were looking to see a deceased black person that night. But unfortunately, you didn't get your wish, did you? Because the reality is, Joel, you're no victim, you're a clout chaser. You are a fanatic looking to incite violence in my city.
Last night, while heading home from Joe's Seafood on 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1 block from the White House, a black man approached my wife and my baby and I and said, "I'm going to kill your white girl. I'm going to kill your effing white baby." And he repeated it many times, and then he continued to call my wife a white B-word multiple times. And I had half a mind to stomp his head in.
And then you got upset when you found out that this innocent man did not have a previous record.
I don't have any knowledge of a violent history. Not at this time, but let me actually take 1 second. I would have to do some digging into his history in order to
You might have to do a little research because you got about an hour and a half, and if this guy is a violent offender, hold on, Barb, you don't have to give us any information, but if this guy is a violent offender and there is some legal precedent to hold him, then he needs to be held because he could be a danger to the public and he could go and stab some baby. He could kill some baby.
There's two things you missed in this scenario, Joel. The first one being filing a false police report and then getting an innocent man arrested. And number two, you thought this man was so disposable that putting on the internet that you would never think that this man has community. Well, I have another thought for you. Not only does this man indeed have community, but we will find every single bit of evidence that is necessary to get you and your wife charged. And like you guys, Joel and Sarah Elizabeth, I like using social media too, but I'm also boots on the ground with folks who are heavily within the court system. And while you probably thought that there was no one in the world that would keep that man safe, we keep him safe.
So this story with this white couple, this white married couple that was up in DC, and they said that they were verbally accosted or verbally attacked by a black homeless man while they were walking the streets of Washington, D.C. in the evening with a, at best, 3-month-old baby. Yeah, they lying. They absolutely made the story up as they was going. The number of times that they didn't change what the man said is laughable at this point. And I can't believe that they have the audacity to even post these videos to social media as if people would believe them. The acting was horrible. The way y'all propping the baby up in the camera was egregious in itself, because why would y'all even put the baby into this mess? There was no need for that baby to be on camera because y'all staged a whole scenario and you want to try to get sympathy from people. So you're sitting there propping the goddamn baby on the top of your goddamn chest so that the baby fucking face and head can be in the frame of the camera while y'all fucking making up an entire story. This is unacceptable. I pray that there were cameras, I know there are cameras, but I pray that the proper authorities get their hands on those cameras so that they can invalidate everything that couple was saying that black man did to them on that street. Talking about he walked up to them and said that he was going to kill their white baby and that he was going to kill them, that he was going to kill their wife. Why would y'all do that? And then they bring it in a name. Apparently this man works for Charlie Kirk. He works for him, and he says, I know the president personally. I don't know what's going on, but this ain't it. This is absolutely not it. It's unacceptable. This is deplorable behavior. That's why we are in the state that we are right now in this country, because of people like that man and his wife. And they talking about they got 5 other kids. And they're not even from D.C. They from, I think he said, Ohio. Why would y'all choose to walk the streets of the streets of D.C. when it is under lockdown, or so to speak, or curfew? You said you got 5 or 4 other children, 5 total. Y'all gonna bring the smallest baby with y'all at nighttime walking DC when there's National Guard patrolling the street because it's supposedly unsafe? So you bring your smallest child out into harm's way? Like, come on now, make it make sense. I don't know why this is not being questioned by the authorities. The man then got arrested. They're trying to persuade, I guess, the district attorney's office or the police station, whomever, to keep the man detained because they're trying to state a case that this man is a threat to the community, that if he comes out and harms anyone else, if he comes out and someone, that it's going to be blood on their hand and that it's going to be a big problem, that it's not going to end well if something happens to someone. So basically he's making threats that if the police or the DA don't do what he wants them to do, that there's going to basically be consequences from his cronies. Y'all know who I'm talking about. It's going to be consequences for his white tea brothers for them letting the black man out of jail because they don't have enough evidence at this point to really prove that what they're saying happened. At best, it's he said, she said, and we know y'all lying. You guys, they're lying. Y'all reposted a video. Go watch the damn video and come back and let's talk about it, because this don't make no sense. This shit is infuriating in terms, I can't even say the goddamn word right, but I'm pissed. My blood is boiling as I watch this recap of everything where someone put all the videos together. And it's like, come on now. Y'all can't be serious. Y'all go watch this video, come back and let's talk about it, because this is insane.
Here are some updates from my previous video about the MAGA couple who got an innocent black man arrested in DC this past week. And just to bring you up to speed, this couple pictured here, Joel Tenney and his wife, Sarah Elizabeth, accused an innocent black man of claiming that he was going to unalive her and their baby. They made this false claim while literally being 1 to 2 blocks away from the White House, which is currently heavily policed. The second update is the black man in this video, and I could only get a quick screen grab, was charged with felony threats with a hate bias enhancement. Based on information I received, this man has no prior record. I have found Joel's Facebook, Joel's LinkedIn, his TikTok, and his Instagram. And it is very apparent that his intention was to incite violence, mentioning in his Instagram caption, with all these race-motivated unalivings and the death just yesterday of Charlie Kirk. Meanwhile, we all have seen who unalived Charlie Kirk, which was not somebody that was outside of his race. And Joel Tenney has yet to correct that caption. On a post that Joel Tenney put on his Facebook page, which was far different from his Instagram, he mentions the Ukrainian woman that was unalived by a black man on a bus, and even mentions that Wonder Breads are now the minority race of the world and how they are marginalized and suffer from bigotry and racism. Because of the contacts that I have and the work that I do in DC and just overall grassroots, we are going to ensure that the brother that was unlawfully arrested because of this couple and their false claims, that he gets some semblance of justice. For the past 2 days, I've been sharing the story and updates about a MAGA couple who got an innocent black man arrested. Joel Tenney and Sarah Elizabeth Tenney claimed that upon leaving their dinner at Joe's Seafood in DC, community that a black man allegedly said that he was going to unalive Sarah Elizabeth and their baby. And for the past 2 days, people have asked me if I had any updates, if we have any way to help the brother that has been falsely accused. And well, I do have some updates. And for the audience, feel free to grab a seat while you get this tea. But this message is specifically to Joel Tenney, who thought that that black man didn't have community or have support. Hey, Joel, in one of your videos, you actually claimed that that man's record should have been looked into a little bit deeper because you found him to be violent, actually very violent.
I don't have any knowledge of a violent history. Not at this time, but let me actually 1 second. I would have to do some digging into his history in order to
You might have to do a little research because you got about an hour and a half, and if this guy is a violent offender, hold on, Rob. You don't have to give us any information, but if this guy is a violent offender and there is some legal precedent to hold him, then he needs to be held because he could be a danger to the public. And
while Barb informed you, Joel Tenney, that that man did not have a violent criminal history or record, you said that she should dig a little deeper. And I thought, light bulb moment, Joel Tenney. And with $1 and a dream and public records, I dug a little deeper. And oddly enough, I found a criminal record of someone who has a similar name to you. Now, could possibly be a mix-up, and there's multiple Joel Tenneys in the world born on August 7th, 1996, just like your Facebook says. Because I would hate that when this black man has to sue you, that this information would make itself apparent in court. Because not only was this Joel Tenney from Iowa charged with 1 count of criminal misconduct in the 3rd degree, but convicted of a 2nd count of criminal sexual misconduct in the 5th degree. And that violent guy who shares your name got 2 years of probation. Gee willikers, Joel. But listen, I have an idea. You can take down the post making the false claim against the black man who did absolutely nothing to you and your wife, and you can drop the charges immediately. Because you know, Joel, as a Christian, God forgives. So do the Christian thing, Joel, so that we don't have to use the power of public records that strengthens us. Good morning, good people, and happy Friday. So the MAGA couple, Joel Tenney and Sarah Elizabeth Tenney, that got an innocent black man arrested in DC, have both limited their comments on their pages, and in Joel's case, have gone private. And I want us to be very clear, until the charges against that innocent black man are dropped officially, I'm still on y'all ass like white on rice. Because what it is that we've seen in this day and time is that these folks don't believe that we have community. These folks think that we're sitting this one out. These folks think that we are scared and that we aren't willing to stand up for ourselves and for our people. And with folks like Joel Tenney, who like comments like this one at the bottom that says, "I see a tree limb right there," the message is very clear on what he was trying to do when it came to that black man in Washington, D.C. In one video caption mentioning his 2A, and in another video verbally saying that he wanted to stomp that man's face in. And since you emailed me yesterday, Joel, I know you're watching. I'll remove my video as soon as you drop the charges. Sound like a deal? Because unlike you, my goal is to de-escalate the violence against my people. Your move. People have asked me if I have any updates regarding the MAGA couple that lied on the black man in DC and got him arrested. The last update that I gave you all was that Joel Tenney had privated most of his accounts, and I believe TikTok, he might have deactivated his account. His wife, Sarah Elizabeth Tenney, is still on social media, but has limited her comment. And I believe partially that's as a result of them being called out as being full of shit. And also because I searched public record and found someone by the name of Joel Christian Tenney, similar to the name of the husband, also born August 7th, 1996, also from Iowa, who not only had multiple counts of criminal charges, but was actually convicted of one and given 2 years of probation. Now, with all that information, I publicly asked Joel Tenney to remove his videos about this innocent black man and to also drop the charges. And as of today, Sunday, September 21st, 2025, the charges have not been dropped. And so therefore, I will continue to move forward with my community that is in DC with ensuring that that innocent black man has support. I will not reveal that black man's name, and I hope that everyone else chooses to do the same, because the on the ground work is specifically not for social media. It is literally to help this black man, to help our community, and to protect each other. And the goal with putting all these videos on social media was to show any of those right-wing conservative racists that we do indeed have community, and we are willing to protect ourselves, and that we also have the resources necessary to do so. For the past week, I have been talking about the MAGA couple who got an innocent black man arrested in Washington, D.C. And I want to be very clear that I am no hero in this story. I am a human that understands the power in community, and that understands that we cannot wait for anybody to give us justice. We have to take it, because I know my history, and I know what happened to Emmett Till, and I know what happened to the Scottsboro boy, and I know what happened to Khalif Browder. And I refuse to sit idly by while folks discard another black person in this country. A couple of days ago, I did receive an email from Joel Tenney himself. Do I look scared? Okay. But what I do recognize is that in the process of wanting to get my community member free, and when I say free, I mean free from this injustice system and his charges dropped, I also have to recognize and rectify that in the information that has been shared with me and information that I have uncovered, that could have triggered many people. And I do not take that lightly. And I apologize openly to anyone who heard about any former charges that could have triggered you or brought up any amount of trauma. I want to make it clear that SA is not a gotcha moment. And me bringing up those charges was not at all to trigger anyone, but for the purpose of showing who the true purveyor of violence is in this situation. So with that, I thank you all for your continued support with this situation and the information, but we gonna get this brother free.
So there's been some updates with these two, and it gets much, much worse because it becomes blatantly obvious that they're trying to pull some more Emmett Till setup type shit. As I always do, I'm going to run it back to the first video, and I'm going to stick around to point some things out.
So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past, and now they're gonna put him under arrest. He said, "I'm gonna murder your wife and baby."
Yeah, he literally said that. This guy right there, when we're walking past,
So we're gonna press charges.
he said he wanted to kill our white baby. How sick can people be? This is disgusting. I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this. Thank God we reported it to the police and they're dealing with the guy. I cannot believe this right now. Don't bring your kids down here. It's not safe.
Don't bring your kids to DC.
Not safe at all.
Last night, while heading home from Joe's Seafood on 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1 block from the White House, a black man approached my wife and my baby and I and said, "I'm going to kill your white girl. I'm going to kill your effing white baby." And he repeated it many times, and then he continued to call my wife a white B-word multiple times. And I had half a mind to stomp his head in, but instead I went to the Secret Service, which was a block away from us, and I told them what he had said. The man was subsequently arrested, and he has now been brought on charges by the U.S. Attorney General's office, felony charges for felony threats and hate and bias crime.
And also, we found out later that he had a knife in his pocket, so that was extremely terrifying.
So this is unbelievable. This shouldn't be happening in the capital of the United States of America. Families like ours should feel safe. We have 5 other children at home that were with grandma luckily that night. We're not even from here, we're from Iowa. And to have to suffer that after losing our friend Charlie Kirk, who I worked for, and then this, it's unbelievable. And America, you need to do better. Racism, reverse racism, it's all wrong, it's all evil. Turn to Jesus, believe the gospel, repent of your sins, be renewed in your mind, in your thinking. Love one another, love your neighbor as yourself, as Jesus commands. We need to seek God. This is not acceptable.
Get a load of that smile when the video ends. Let's move on.
Service on the line. So my understanding is that you would like us to charge this as a hate crime from the beginning, and so because you were starting to talk about facts of the case, as I explained earlier, I cannot talk about facts of the case without an officer witness on the line. So let me ask you real quickly. So the facts that I understood were that he threatened to kill you, Sarah, and your quote-unquote white baby. Is that correct?
Yes. He said he's going to kill. He said he was speaking to me. He said, I'm going to kill your girl and your effing white baby.
Okay.
And then he repeatedly called my wife a white B word. And it was for 100% a hate crime. If I would have said that to a black man, his wife and baby...
Sir, I'm going to stop you right here. I appreciate where you are going with this. I in no way, shape, or form disagree with you that this sounds like a hate crime. But I want to explain to you how our process works.
Okay.
So.
And then they cut the video off because things are not going in the direction that they hoped for. They try to spew their rhetoric, and this woman was not having it. So shout out to her for doing her job. Let's move on. Okay, this is the most recent one, and I want you all to pay very close attention to everything they say down to the caption in this video, because they are so outrageously frustrated that they don't even realize they're telling on themselves.
Bias. Okay.
Yeah.
And then...
So these will be felony threats with a hate bias enhancement. And so what that does is that changes the possibility, the way we... the possibility of sentencing, the kind of plea that's given, plea offer. No, I don't have any knowledge of a violent history. Not at this time, but let me actually, 1 second. I would have to do some digging into his history in order to be able to...
You might have to do a little research because you got about an hour and a half, and if this guy is a violent offender, hold on, you don't have to give us any information, but if this guy is a violent offender and there is some legal precedent to hold him, then he needs to be held because he could be a danger to the public, and he could go and stab some baby. He could kill some baby. You know? That's not safe to have people like that are that unhinged on the streets in our capital city of the United States of America.
A block from the
president. A block from the White House. We were on 1500 Pennsylvania. That's insane.
I do not. I would love to have a conversation with you about it, but I honestly cannot. And like I said, if I have a legal basis to ask for him to be held, I will ask for him to be held. At this time, I don't know of a legal basis for me to ask for him to be held.
Well,
which means the court doesn't have a legal basis to hold him.
Well, Barb, do some digging. That's all I'm going to say, because if he gets out and he does something, I swear this is going to be very bad for everybody. Very bad for everybody. It's not going to be good for the district. It's not going to be good for the U.S. Attorney's Office. It's not going to be good. It's going to be national public television. Everybody's going to know about it. I literally know President Trump personally. It's not a good situation. I shouldn't have to feel like my wife is going to be killed and my baby is going to be killed, and then some violent offender gets released back on the streets of Washington, D.C.
And we don't even know his criminal background.
We don't know. We don't know who we're dealing with here, so we don't feel safe.
What if it's the same thing like the guy in North Carolina where they let him out 14 times and then he goes and kills somebody? That guy should not have been on the streets, and I don't think this person should be on the streets either.
Listen, you seem like a really nice lady, Barb, and I know there's more that you guys can do. So I'm hoping that you guys will figure out something.
I mean, even a mental asylum, like, is there a mental hospital he can go to or something?
Or a homeless shelter or something. Something to keep him away from people.
I hear you.
Any questions?
So I got a little comment to make about this guy, Joel, and his wife, Sarah, who got an innocent African-American arrested just because of the color of his skin. I know I wasn't there and I can't make any deems of guilty and innocent, but when your story just keeps on fucking changing, we're pretty sure you're lying. But I'm noticing the more clout that they keep on getting for this bullshit little story they've got is actually causing them to add more to it. You see, in the police report, Joel apparently told the officer that this man walked by, looked him in the face, continued walking the entire time he said it, and said, "I'm gonna, that white baby," and continued moving forward. Then all of a sudden he changes it because it went to, "I'm gonna, that white baby and your wife." But then in their recent little video, all of a sudden he stopped and looked at them and kept on going, just kept on agitating it before walking away, saying he was gonna off the baby and the wife and continued to call her a white bitch. So basically, an innocent African-American was walking down the street in Washington, D.C. A white couple pointed him out, said, "I want that guy arrested," called the police, and it happened.
Yeah, so black people are making follow up on this. They want the MAGA couple to drop the charges because they feel that the black man was innocent, and the white couple did this sort of racism just because the man is black. They feel that he never threatened to unalive the baby, to unalive the wife to the white man. Yeah, they feel that it's all about, you know, what we have been talking each and every time over and over, racism. Yeah, so let me know what are your thoughts down in the comment section about this. Until the next episode, for now, goodbye.